Good afternoon and welcome to Mediumship Matters with me, Hannah Macintyre. And I'm super excited to be welcoming and saying good morning, actually, at risk of sounding like the Truman Show, Lori Sheridan, Reverend Lori Sheridan, Shori Leridan. What a welcome. Hello, Laurie. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming in today and joining us on our live podcast. So if you're watching this live, as always, you can pop any comments or questions on. And if we've got time, I will direct as many of them to Laurie as possible. And if you're listening through the podcast player later on, welcome. And I hope you enjoy. So hi, Laurie.
Hello, Hannah. It's so nice to be here with you. Thank you so much for having me. What a treat.
I'm really, really excited. So Laurie and I have been working together on a course learning because mediumship, as you will know if you listen regularly, is an ongoing, forever learning curve. And so we met on that and I asked her to come on. She said she would come in and talk to us all. So, Laurie, tell us a little bit about your work with the spirit world and your mediumship.
Awesome. Well, as you said, I am a spiritual medium. And I love that you said that we met on a course, because I think that's the biggest thing about mediumship is that journey never ends. And I think, no matter where you are, whether in the beginning or more seasoned, it really is striving to continue to learn and grow and to progress, because it's like we can always do better, right? There's sometimes that miracle connection where, that's the piece that's so inspiring, is sharing in those moments of healing. But just that concept that we can continue to strive to get better in our connection with spirit. And I love it. I just love sharing in that and hopefully being of service and helping others in some small way to feel that presence of their loved ones.
Yeah, it's amazing work. Now, as I mentioned, and you know that I'm super excited about this, you are a reverend. I feel like I should be bowing or nodding.
Oh my gosh, you're so fresh.
And that's quite new, isn't it? You've just been ordained. Is that what you'd call it?
Just ordained. Yes, that's right, Hannah. No, so I have been serving spiritualist churches for several years. And I'm really excited and honored to have just completed a 2-year program through the Journey Within Spiritualist Church that's led by Janet Havoc, and it was just recently ordained. So you are one of the first people to call me Reverend Lori Sheridan. And it truly is an honor and, of course, a commitment, with the dedication to service. And, I'll be honest, I'm so glad that I have made this commitment. But at first it's like, oh, my gosh, this is such a big deal, But I'm just excited to see how my work will hopefully continue to evolve and the connections that I'll make with people and serving churches and hopefully just being of service to the spirit world. Yeah. So
I have no doubt about that at all, Laurie. And was it loads of work to get to that stage? I'm assuming it was.
I like to think it was too. No, but I mean, what was so great about this program, or what I really enjoyed, was number one, it was a small cohort. And Janet has done a wonderful job of really, I would say in some ways, maybe making it a more contemporary approach, because, we did meet on Zoom, but we would have homework assignments, a lot of reading papers, studying the different principles of spiritualism, but then also learning the different aspects of what it means to be a reverend, what it means to, how to pray, how to hold somebody's hand, if they've just had significant news or suffering happening. And then weddings and funerals. I mean, it's one thing to talk about. I haven't done any yet, okay? But just wonderful to have a mentor and teacher who has worked, she's dedicated her life to helping others, but to have that guidance and that support, and to meet other people sharing that experience, I just really, I'm very grateful to have been a part of that journey with them and hopefully continuing. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. I mean, I can tell even in our little interactions in the group, when you go into, we do this online course and you go into a breakout room and you go, oh no, I've got to work now. I've got to do something I've never done. And all of that stuff, you can just tell that the hand holding thing, that's you all over. It's that really lovely comfort that you bring. So I think you're going to be helping a lot of people in that new role, and it just is amazing. So that's where you are right now.
Yeah.
But where did you start? How did you get into spirituality?
Well, that's an interesting story. No, so I do definitely feel like throughout my life, even as like a younger person, I was interested in, you explore, you go to different churches, that type of thing. But it was really as a young adult, I actually had a moment where I had just finished my college degree, and I had my security, and I have my real job, and then I really felt a calling, whether it was my soul or the spirit world, but it really was a calling or a voice from within saying, okay, now it's time. Now it's time to do the real work. And it's so amazing to me how just the synchronicity of events, I felt like in many ways, I feel like I was guided to a spiritualist church. And then and then I just began studying, And I remember the first time I went to the church, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is different. But I did fall in love with it, of course. And it's just amazing, in the midst of the like-minded people, and then began studying mediumship. And then one thing just led to another, you just follow, you never know where it's going to lead. Like I certainly, in that first church service or even years into attending church, didn't necessarily think that I'd be serving on a platform or I don't know that I ever thought I'd be a reverend,
It's funny how they get you.
It really is, and so it's just amazing though. And I think that's one of the big things is just following the nudges, following those breadcrumbs, not having a set destination, but just allowing your soul and maybe the spirit world to help guide you and to see where it takes you,
Amazing. So do you come from a spiritually connected family, or are you kind of, going it alone with this?
Well, I'm really fortunate that I do have a supportive family, so they are actually very open-minded, I don't have a lot of philosophical discussions with them, but they respect my choices and are supportive in all ways around that, which is really wonderful. Yeah. And I will tell you like a funny story, like just to get like, this is going to sound so crazy, but we talk about like studying auras and things like this, right? Just to give you a sense of how supportive my family is. Like I can remember like when I first started, I made my mom like sit there and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to stare at you for a moment and see if I can see your aura, right? And like she played along. So, I mean, just the coolness of having parents who are like, okay,
yeah,
take a look, see what you get,
We don't get you, but we'll let you.
Yeah, exactly. So just to know that they do support me in all ways is just a real gift. So I'm very blessed in that way. Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, that's all you need, isn't it? And, it's the same with my family. Sometimes I come out with something and you can just tell I've dropped a nutty spiritual bomb in the middle of the conversation that everyone's like, okay, you have to wait for that to pass and then carry on. Okay, so you started through the churches.
I did, yeah.
And has it always been mediumship, that connection to loved ones in spirit that has been your calling? Have you obviously you've done auras and stuff like that. Has it always been
actually, sorry to interrupt you. I actually started like with psychic tarot. So the tarot, I initially started taking classes and just exploring on my own. And it was a combination, I think, of both. I think initially when I started working, I was definitely doing more psychic work and using psychic tools such as the tarot to do readings and things like that. And then as I continued to maybe unfold or grow, perhaps also in my confidence and in my connection with the spirit world, then the doors kind of unfolded where all of a sudden I found myself doing more mediumship, And so it's just so interesting because, I was aspiring to do mediumship, but, I don't think it's something that we just go, boom, everything happens in this divine timing. And that's, I think, some of the beauty of it. So for me, it just really one step led to the next. It did start with definitely tarot. So tarot is a passion of mine. I noticed, you had sent me a question like, what are your favorite decks? And I was like,
Yeah.
ooh.
Yeah, so go on, tell us, as we're on it, tell us, what are your favorite decks? What do you like to work with?
One of my favorites, I really like the Robin Wood Tarot. Okay, so I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it has the Celtic, the green background. Anyway, so that's the more traditional tarot deck that I started with. But today, for readings, I'm a big fan of the Psychic Tarot by John Holland. That's my favorite. I use that for all my readings because it's yes, exactly. I think it's a staple, a foundation piece.
Yeah.
For any psychic medium. Okay, so but I love it because he did just such a nice job with the imagery, and it still loosely connects to the framework of the tarot, but allows for a lot of intuitive interpretation. So love that deck. And then the other deck that I really like is this Angel Wisdom Tarot by Radley Valentine.
Oh, I've not seen that one.
Yes, it's beautiful, but he incorporates angels, and that really speaks to me as well. But also using that framework as the tarot, the traditional tarot. So those are my favorites.
That's so funny. Those ones are out because I've got a problem.
Yes,
I've got so many packs of cards, but those ones have always been my pack since I started doing readings. That's why they're there, because they're always, I sometimes add, but they're always my base pack.
Exactly.
So
right.
So funny. That's such a good. So there you go, everybody. John Holland, the Psychic Tarot, highly recommended by both of us.
It's fabulous.
And so obviously we've talked about how your work has progressed, and you started with cards, and that's still a big passion. We've got angels coming in there as well as loved ones with spirit. So, what's your favorite at the moment? Because I know it changes. Have you got a favorite sort of way of working at the moment?
My favorite right now really is still mediumship right now. So, connecting, striving to connect people with their loved ones on the other side. I would say that probably is my passion. Right now that's probably a majority of my work. But there's always the blended session or the combination of psychic or people needing a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's definitely the psychic piece that comes in. It just depends, because some people are coming strictly, they've lost someone and they're really in grief, so they're really needing that healing validation of their loved one's presence. So the whole session might be that. But a lot of times too, maybe we'll pull a couple cards at the end, little things like that. And I always end with a little angel card, like a little angel blessing, like here's a little kiss, from the spirit world. But so it's all my passion, I guess. But I definitely really enjoy the mediumship as well. But they're all important. They're all fabulous.
I completely agree. So tell us about one of your most profound experiences with the spirit world.
Oh, I'm like, where to start, right, Hannah? Yeah. I'm teasing. But no, I think of two really pivotal moments for me. So I lost a baby. So I miscarried halfway through a pregnancy, and that was a really painful loss for me. And I had been doing some meditation and just really trying to connect with the spirit world. And in one of those experiences, it was so profound, the amount of unconditional love that I felt. I'm like, I might get emotional, but the amount of unconditional love that I really felt surrounding me, filling me. It was so profound because I don't know that I'd ever felt anything like it. And I don't feel that every day, okay? It was one of those magical moments where you really felt that you were touching in with something special. And of course, it was so moving. I started crying, and then it was over. Okay, but because it pulled you out of it. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay, that was nice. But it was so moving and so touching. I will never forget that. And it was a really profound healing moment for me, and helping me to move forward and processing my own grief with that loss. And then I'll give you one more that was really profound for me as well. And again, this is for, people no matter where they are on their mediumship journey. But I remember, when I was first starting doing mediumship readings, it's a huge responsibility, and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, I think, to really do a good job or to really be of service, and that's still something I work on, it's just really that surrendering piece. But I was doing a session that I had donated to a family, and that was probably one of the most profound experiences, because when I just surrendered, they took over. The loved one in the spirit world that they so needed to hear from just took over. And it was just one of those healing moments that was just undeniable, all of the pieces and the information. And just to, of course, it was all the spirit world, but just to share in that, to experience that miracle, to feel that, to see what was possible, and to feel the healing and to share in that moment with everyone in the room. Well, that was very special and something I'll never forget. And it was a huge learning moment for me, that when there's love, when there's need, if we can just surrender. Obviously, you have to continue to grow and work on your foundation. I'm not telling everybody to start doing mediumship readings, but that the power of the spirit world is just amazing, and what they can communicate, and what's needed, and being able to express that, and what an honor and a privilege it was to be a part of that. And then hopefully to share in future sessions like that, those moments, those are the moments that are so inspiring, and really help to drive you to continue that passion to help others.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Oh, sorry, I was so in the energy of what you were saying then. I was just on the love. Oh, I'm the one asking the questions. Whoops. Okay. So what advice would you give to somebody that's right at the beginning, that's feeling that call of spirit, but doesn't know where to start?
Well, I think the big thing is just to start. Don't worry about being perfect or knowing exactly where you're going. If you take a class, you like it, great. If you don't like it, try something else. It doesn't matter. And the big thing for me with my mediumship, and I continue to work on that, is just that concept of surrendering and trust. I know that personally, a huge leap forward for me was, because in the beginning, you're taught, okay, ask all these things and get all this information. So it's like the interview, concept. But I was really trying to control the way I received information. And when I began to surrender and just allow the spirit world to communicate how they wanted to communicate, and that's what I still obviously strive for, that was the big breakthrough. That was the big leap. When you continually work on your foundation, but when you're able to just let go and not control, that's, I feel like, when the magic happens. So if I could give any piece of advice, is just really that surrender and trust over and over and over again.
And again.
And again.
And again. And when you think you've done it, do it some more.
Exactly, because it never ends.
It doesn't. Yeah, absolutely agree. Absolutely. And isn't it amazing, some of the things when you do get away from that list, because I was taught list mediumship at the beginning too. Yeah. When you get away from that, the amazing and incredible and unexpected things that the spirit world can bring in.
Right. It's amazing.
Some of my most amazing things have been things I would never have sought for, things I would never have looked for if I'd had my list still.
Love it. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Oh, amazing. So do you have a daily practice? Do you have things that you do every day for your own connection and development?
Well, that's what I am also working on, is just the concept of balance, and also for me, carving out time for me or taking care of myself. So I am a work in progress, but I know. Yes, but I've been working on either trying to go for a walk, or doing some kind of stretching, or I'm doing gentle yoga, very gentle.
Very nice.
But it's just something for me. And then I do try to meditate or sit with the spirit world daily, it just is a way to feel that connection. And some days are great and some days are not, but it's still just making that time to sit with spirit. And then potentially just, trying to be mindful throughout the day, or maybe a prayer or thoughts, just trying to do that, or, at the end of the day, reflect on what could I have done better? How could I have handled this a little more maturely? Little things like that. And then just continually striving to grow and be a better version of myself, Yeah.
Absolutely. I think we all do that. We all start the mediumship journey going out and realize the mediumship journey actually brings us inescapably in.
That's very deep. I love that, Hannah.
Oh, you're welcome. Plenty more where that came from.
I think we should quote that one. That was really good.
But it is though, isn't it? So, okay. Tell us something about your work with the spirit world that you wish everybody knew.
I wish everybody knew. I really just feel like, it's just this concept that, there's no agenda. It really is just to be of service. I can't control who comes through or the order that they come through, but you can know that when I sit with you, it's a three-way connection, but I'm absolutely surrendering and just doing my best to be of service to help you in some way, hopefully. That's it at the end of the day, so, and I just feel like sometimes, when people come for a sitting, that sometimes there's an expectation, or sometimes, there's a particular person, or even a word that they're waiting to hear, or different things. And, I wish that every single session, could be this tremendously magical experience. And, of course, many are special, but, I guess that would be the biggest thing, is just to come without expectation and maybe an open-mindedness to surrender to the experience as well, and to recognize that we work together and it's all from a place of love. Mm-hmm. And when that connection can be made, it absolutely is, so that's it.
I completely agree. There's an element of surrender needed from sitters as well as from mediums.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I've mentioned this on my podcast before, but there's nothing quite like your heart sinking. I don't know if you've had this, but I've had people come and they go, don't worry about the evidence. There's one word, we've got a password. If you give me that word, I don't need to worry. And I go,
oh my God, I know that's the most stressful thing. Don't do that to your medium, please. Because our thinking mind is like, oh my God, what do I need to say? Yeah. But what, I had that happen once, and it was actually an incredible lesson too. So one of my first sessions earlier, and the lady was like, there's only three words that I need to hear. That's all I need to hear. And I was like, oh my God, what could they possibly be? And I kept hearing, I love you. I love you. And those were the three words, but the point being, though, is sometimes we judge it, or we get too much in our head, and it's just like, keep it simple, give what you get, and just try to keep focusing on that surrender piece. But yeah, and then remembering too, because sometimes those toughest sessions are really the people that have the greatest need, that maybe are in the greatest pain or suffering, and to know that and surrender that when, as mediums, that it's not about us, that truly there is often a need much greater than maybe we can understand or comprehend in that moment. Yeah.
Absolutely. Completely. So if you could go back in time to when you first started, what advice would you give yourself?
Get ready. I don't know. I'm laughing. Really, the biggest advice really is just that surrendering piece, and the, every person is different. Everybody's journey is different, and what is important to me may not be important to others. But I really do think there is an aspect of sacredness that we want to be mindful of, and even perhaps considering, humbleness, and to remember that really, it's not us doing it, it's the spirit world, and we're just lucky, I feel like, to be a part of it in some moments, So advice to me would be, loosen up, lady. I know, like, stop taking everything so seriously and still work on that. And it is hard. And it really is just this concept of surrendering. I cannot say that enough. I just surrender. And when we let go and we just allow the spirit world to work through us, that's really when it's special, I think, so just and keep plugging away. It never ends. And thank God for progression, because, I certainly, think of where I started. And, I'm just so grateful that we can grow in our connection, and that we can continue to unfold.
Yeah, exactly. It never ends, which is exciting, because you're never done. You're never finished. There's always something more to learn. And I love that about it.
I do too.
So how has your work and your connection to the spirit world changed your life as you, not as a medium?
Oh my God, Hannah, where do you come up with these deep questions? I know, it's like, oh my God, you have to really put some thought into this. Okay. So I will say that the spirit world and having this relationship with spirit has given me a sense of hope and faith that I never knew possible, especially during the most challenging times of my life. And not just my life, but seeing the grace or the hand of God or those miracles, those silver linings and those threads in other people's lives as well. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the journey seems to have these boulders or these little rocks along the way, right? Mm-hmm. And, the miracle, though, is sometimes when it is a no, or that path or something difficult presents, that it may not be the straight path or the path that we had envisioned, but in that partnership with spirit, that there often is another way forward, or they will bring the right people into our lives at the right time, or they'll open the doors, or they'll help us to find another way around. And as painful as sometimes those no's are, or the pain or grief that we might be going through, that is how that relationship has changed my life, because I can see, just as I'm sure many of us can, as we reflect on our lives, think about when you were younger, and I don't want to tease you, we're all kind of morons, it's like, how did I even get here?
Yeah,
things, right? Like, but when you reflect, you can see those magical moments, those moments where maybe the spirit world intervened, or, you had unexpected blessings that came through and helped you to navigate those most challenging times. And that is what I see. And that's how I know the spirit world. I'm just so grateful to be where I am, because they've helped me through many challenging times. Yeah.
Absolutely. So a couple more questions, nearly done. Do you have a favorite book to read, spiritual book?
Oh, I have several, Hannah.
Okay, good. Let's hear them all. Everyone loves the book recommendation.
You've probably read them all already. Okay. So my favorite book for people that are just starting out on their mediumship journey, and I even have a copy of it right here. I know, I pulled it out. I'm like, look at this. Oh, wait, hold on. It's so complicated. But it's Where Two Worlds Meet by Janet Havoc. And probably if you've been listening, you think I have stock in the Journey Within Church or something. Cheesing again. But no, she really is a fabulous medium. And I just really enjoyed that book, as far as just some of the foundation and the fundamentals and some ways to look at it. Okay. So a great book, a great resource for your collection, if that's something that interests you. And then other books that I really have enjoyed. I really enjoyed The Afterlife of Billy Fingers. Again, I'm like, where's the camera?
Oh, these are ones I haven't seen. This is great.
Gosh, this is exciting. Okay, so I'm going to give you the full title. The Afterlife of Billy Fingers, How My Bad Boy Brother Proved to Me There's Life After Death. And this is by Annie Kagan. And I love this because she's a total, quote unquote, normal person. And, she loses her brother tragically, and she's able to experience a relationship with him from the other side that proves to be very evidential in the way that she's able to receive messages and some form of communication. And again, helping to suggest that the continuity that the soul continues after the transition, we know that as death. And it's just a beautiful, powerful story that I just loved. So I totally highly recommend it. Oh, and then, yeah, I know. So I'll give you one more. Oh, maybe two.
Go for it.
I know, I'm just rocking this. But I really, I've never studied with Mavis Stella, but I really did enjoy her Droplets of God book. Okay. I might not have the full title correct, but it's Mavis Patilla's story. And I know it says Droplets of God, but that was just a beautiful story. I felt, about just her experiences working as a medium and with the spirit world, and how it has changed her life and her journey. I found that very inspirational as well. And then I know this one is the last one. It gets mixed reviews, but I really do like Silver Birch, the teachings of Silver Birch. Okay. I know that some of the information or the tone can be antiquated and people have different opinions. But for me, I just really found that book as a touching cornerstone of any spiritualist philosophy library. So I really enjoyed that book. And I know there's many books on the that have been channeled, but I really enjoyed that as well. So there you go.
See, I've not. I'm correct in saying that is a medium who's channeled teachings from the spirit world and the spirit of Silver Birch. Yes.
Yes, exactly. And it was all about the spirit world's perspective on different questions that were asked. Okay. I don't know if it was in the 1950s. I can't remember the exact period. And so that's where, and then, I have shared this book with others, and so it's either a love-hate relationship. You either totally love it or you're like, but it has a lot of things to ponder, from a philosophical perspective that I really enjoyed. And so it was a meaningful experience. So recommend it. Check it out. See what you think.
Fascinating. Well, I think that's part of it that's really important, actually, which is interesting. You've touched on that because that's something that's really been coming up for me at the moment. Is actually it is about mediumship and evidence of life after death and all of that. But actually, there's so much more, isn't there, to spiritual connection? Yeah. And we all have we all have to ponder these questions. We all have to think about what it's all about, what it's all for, why we're here.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Those are the deep ones. Yes. Yeah. And continuing to ask, how can I be of service? Where, and just to take those opportunities, however they present, even no matter how small they are, and trusting that is the guidance too. But yes, tons of questions. And some of these things that we're not going to know probably until we pass away, until we go home. I don't mean to sound so ominous in this last moment here. Sorry.
You're fine. You're fine.
Oh my goodness. Very ominous.
But yeah, I don't think we possibly can comprehend.
How can we? Yes, I know. And I'm like, so hard to validate some of those things, but it's finding your own truth and asking the questions. I think that's an important part of any person's life, spiritualist life, mediumship life, wherever you are in your journey.
So I know obviously you've completed your reverendness. You have you are demonstrating loads, aren't you? I see you in lots of churches and online demonstrations and things.
Yes.
You're also teaching spiritual development.
I am.
But what else is next for you?
Well, that's the big question. So I actually just hinted at it because I just keep praying, Like I know that I want to be of service and I know that I want to help as many as I can. I definitely see myself continuing with a private practice and working with people in that way. And I definitely see myself continuing to serve churches. I love doing that. And then I just keep asking God to kind of show me the way, where do you need me and how can I serve? And just trusting in that journey to continue to unfold, So when I have it all figured out, I know, but and I do have a spiritual center, and I love doing that work too because it's just helping others to explore their own connection to the spirit world and find their own path, their own truth, and just to explore some of that. I think that's pretty amazing, also. Not all of us are going to be working psychic mediums and things like that, but it doesn't matter. But each of us has, you have the connection with spirit. You are the soul having that human experience. And I love, just having a space where people hopefully feel safe and make healing connections, feel comfortable exploring their own pathways of intuition, psychic, and mediumship, and also meet other like-minded people, and have fun along the way. So, yeah, hopefully there's growth across the board in all areas. So thank you for
I have no
asking.
doubt that there will be. And obviously I can see your websites on here. You've made that super easy for me. So it's lauriesheridan.org for anybody that is listening later. And can they book with you privately on there for readings, Laurie?
Yes, they can. Wow, you cover all the good stuff, Hannah. Thank you.
I try.
Yes, no, you can definitely book through the website. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. I've loved, because it's so amazing, because obviously when we're working together, we have to just work. You don't get that. How did you get here? What are you doing?
I know, I want to hear your story, Hannah. I want to get more about you.
Well, I won't. Most people know it. So I won't bore everyone today, but I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing you with us all, and your faith and your light. And I feel like I've had my hand held through this. So it's been absolutely lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hannah. A lot of love to you and everybody who joined us today. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Fantastic.